I just got myself a new mic. I don't know if it's actually coming through the mic or if it's coming through the phone, but hopefully I sound more clear, I guess. Anyway, for those that are not aware, you may notice that I look tired. It's because I am tired. I barely got any sleep. Just had too much fun last night. But we're gonna just have a nice cigar stream, and that's what we're gonna do. That is what I'm gonna do, and you're welcome to join me. If you want to talk to a liberal, I'm right here. Let's take a look here. We are making our old-fashioned. We're making an old-fashioned. Here we go. Boom. That's good stuff right there. Next, what we add is going to be Woodford. Woodford. We're going to add the Woodford. Sorry, I apologize. I'm doing this with one hand. One-handing it. Okay. I got to go buy more Woodford. I'm almost out. Almost out. Let's all have a nice stream today. It's going to be a nice day. Nice day. There we go. Looks good. There we go. For those that are just joining, how do I sound? Do I sound okay? I just got myself a new microphone, and I honestly don't know if it's coming through the phone or if it's coming through my new microphone. Hopefully I sound better than how I normally sound. Heck, I may clip these up if we have a fun discussion. Let me see here. What do I want? This. Raul Ayala says, yay, welcome, welcome, hello. We're going to have a relaxing day. It's a relaxing day. Boom. What do we got today? We've got the judge, my father. Local admin says I couldn't tell. Horrible with sound. Well, okay, let me just test to see if it's coming through the lavalier mic or if it's coming through the my phone. So like if I move closer, is it louder? Is it now quieter if I move the phone farther? Or is it the same? If it is the same, moving it back and forth, if it is the same, it's coming through my lavalier for sure. All right, let's have a nice cigar. We're gonna have a whiskey. Let's give it a shot. All right, all right, all right. So tell me, do you hear the new lavalier mic? Or is it coming through the phone? I honestly can't hear myself, so I can't tell. I can't tell. This is what we're going to have. We're going to have... I got to get my cutter. Hold on. Let me set this down. All right. Oh, Nice cut, nice cut. Beautiful cut. Beautiful. All right. How do I do this in one go? Cheers, y'all. Woo! Ooh, that's good. That's some good. That's some good drink. Okay. Moving. We're moving. Okay, let's do it. We're gonna sit outside. What a lovely day it is. It's so lovely. Y'all, I wish y'all were here. It's so nice out. Ah, okay. Well. Let's see what we can do here. So, I noticed slight issue with my setup. The cable is jutting out from the bottom of my phone, so I can't have it properly mounted. Can you guys hear me okay? Are y'all there? Is it coming through this? Who knows? Let me see. If I turn off Bluetooth, do I see that my sound is coming through? So can y'all hear? Sounds like it's coming through the mic you tapped. Okay, cool. And I just bought this little thing. It's so tiny, so little. I gotta put it on proper, though. It's not on properly. Give me a sec. I'm gonna snap it on. Sorry for all the noise if you're getting a lot of noise. Okay. Well, I just bought this. I just bought the microphone. So hopefully I sound better. Does it sound better? I hope so. Did I waste my money? Did I waste my money and it doesn't sound better? I'll hear myself after everything is said and done. But yeah, let's have ourselves a nice... My Father Garcia. You could see the teeth on this baby. Woo, look at that, teeth. For those that are not aware, if you look at a cigar and you look at it real close, they sometimes have these little bumps. Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's hard to see, but there's little bumps. The little bumps like that, that's flavor. That's really good flavor. It's trapped oils from the tobacco leaf. And so it's you just get extra flavor out of that. And so you're going to get a nice... If you ever shop for a cigar, look for a cigar that has teeth. Is my thing on? Well, local admin says it's going to be 98 in Phoenix today. That's wild. God, I would hate that. Okay, I'm going to try a quick experiment because right now I have my phone in a very precarious position. I like that shade. I think I got to get the shade going. Let's get the shade going. Hold on. I like that shade. Let's get some shade, huh? Let's get the shade. Hopefully there's no bug in there. I always imagine that there's going to be a bug in there, but yeah. All right, nice shade, good shade. Okay, it's nice here, man. It really is. It's so nice. All right, I'm going to try a little experiment. I'm going to flip I'm going to flip my phone and see if it does it properly. Am I right side up? Or am I upside down? Am I upside? The chat is upside down. Yeah. I figured. All right, I'm gonna have to figure something out because, yeah, I have to have my phone in a very precarious position, and I don't like that. Okay, well, we're doing Dutch lens. Wibble Wobble says, show lizard. Is there any lizards? There might be. Where's the lizards? Where are the lizards at? Hold on, let's see if we can find a lizard. There's a lizard here, for sure. For sure. You think there's no lizard? Of course there's lizard. Let's see. I'm looking for a lizard. We're looking. Let me see. It may be too cold for the lizards right now. It's got a little bit of a cold out, but tell you what, if I find a lizard, I'll get up and go and show you a lizard. No lizard right now. Somos Gentle says, I notice you look like the actor John Peck. I don't know who John Peck is, and I forgot my iPad. I should have brought my iPad to hear that out. I don't know that actor. I'm not good with names. I've always been terrible with names. It's my fault. It has nothing, no problem with you. I'm gonna Dutch lens this because I don't like how precarious my phone is. I apologize. If you saw what I have, there's like an aux cable coming out of the bottom of my phone, so I can't settle it, right? I can't like put it in like a good spot. It's just kind of like in a very precarious. So I hope you don't mind the Dutch lens. What do you think? Dutch lens with really nice mic? I'll figure something. I'll make like a piece of cardboard or something to alleviate that problem. I'm a pretty creative guy. I can figure stuff out. I'm good at figuring stuff out. Local admin says, I like it. Nice. Sick. Cheers, everybody. Happy Saturday. As we watch the United States crumble from stupidity. I mean, it really is stupid. We've got RFK saying that we're going to figure out. Hello. We have RFK saying that we're very close to figuring out where autism comes from. We'll have it figured out in a month, he said. How much do you want to bet he's just going to come out and say vaccines? I did all the research and now we found out that the autism is caused by the vaccine. I'm calling it, dude. That is what they're going to say. The next thing, and you heard it from me first, because I'm not hearing anybody talk about this, is I think you're going to start seeing a huge shortage of products. Like a really big shortage. Like stuff is just going to start going missing. And you're going to be like, what happened to that? It's just going to be gone. That's concerning because it's not just, I don't know, one product like toilet paper during COVID. It's going to be a lot of products, like a whole bunch of different stuff. And I don't know what it will be until it's gone. Frista says, time to buy toilet paper again. Toilet paper is, I mean, that's one of those things. Thankfully, I did not see a shortage of toilet paper when I visited my local Walmart, but there were definitely spots. Very concerning. I mean, if you think about it, very concerning. Here, mind if I'm going to turn my camera a little. Let me see if I can Dutch angle lens it right there. Oh, you know what I could do? Oh, sick. Wait, I just figured something out. I figured out magic just now. I just figured out magic, guys. Guys, if you saw what I was doing, you'd be like, dude, you're a hacker. They would call me a hacker. All right, here we go. Ah, not bad. Maybe even a little more forward. Yeah, good framing. Ah. What a beautiful day it is. I can't complain. Man, I look tired. Holy crap. Barely got any sleep. Partied too hard last night. Just partied too dang hard. What do you want? I like drinking. I like to drink. I'm sorry. Right? Maybe I'm drinking too much. We'll have to think about it over an old-fashioned. Fristaz says over here it's completely gone. Really? Toilet paper is gone on your end. See, there's going to be all sorts of supply line shortages, right? Like typically what you would do if you were like a competent person in the government, if you wanted local industry, what you would do is you would subsidize the local industry to then build up the local industry over the course of a few years, and then afterwards, then you put in the tariffs, right, to emphasize that local industry. That's not what Trump is doing. Trump decided to do tariffs on everybody, and I have no idea, I cannot say for certain that it was or was not a pump and dump scheme, but him sitting there with Charles Schwab and another billionaire saying that they made $900 million and $1.5 billion in the announcements, saying now is a good time to buy. Bruh, it's disgusting. How am I supposed to? It's completely disgusting. Give me a sec. Okay. Absolutely disgusting. I can't believe it. And you know what? There's all sorts of people. There's so many people defending this nonsense. They're like, they look at me like I'm the delusional one. They're like, Amender, you're an idiot. Donald Trump is going to make the country better. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, how do tariffs grow the economy? Tariffs don't grow an economy. What planet are you on where you think a tariff benefits the economy? It never benefits an economy. The only reason why tariffs are done is to protect local industry, or if, say for example, there's like one country that is trying to subsidize their market to then sell overseas for exorbitantly low prices to drown out your local market, you can implement a tariff strategically in that way. But blanket tariffs is stupid. Where did he get this idea? I don't understand. Ooh, I got a lizard. We got a lizard. All right, you wanted to see a lizard. Lizard is right here. Do you see him? We gotta. Let me give him the mic. Look at him. He's just chilling. What's up, dude? He's checking me out. He's like, what are you doing? What do you think of the lizard? Do you like the lizard? He's pretty cool. He's a really cool guy. Look at that. How cool is that? Oh boy. Lizard. Okay. Back to me screaming about Trump. Trump derangement syndrome, if you will. I got that Trump derangement syndrome. Soy boy. Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, sorry. Wandering Robot Studio says, yo, I'm changing my valve cover gaskets on my truck while you politic. Sick, dude. Glad you are joining in on the stream while you do that. I'll talk your ear off. I'll sit there. I'll talk to you all about all sorts of political jargon or religious jargon or whatever. This is fabulous. Go Johnny is speaking in Russian. I can't understand any Cyrillic. I do not understand Russian. God, it's so nice out here. Guys, if you just felt this temperature, it's like 70 degrees Fahrenheit. What's that in Celsius? I don't know. If I had my iPad, I would do it. Christas says he's talking about that it's snowing. That sucks. It is not snowing here, nor is it going to snow ever for the foreseeable future. The only places where it snows and potentially snows in Florida is the Panhandle. Leaf. I got assaulted. Base got flashy says, I just noticed a scratch on my car. Do you think, like, remember when Obama was in office? We just had, like, all sorts of people blaming Obama for everything. I mean, I swear, you'd have a person, they would, a taco shell, like their taco shell would break and they'd be like, thanks, Obama. We got to do the same thing for Trump, right? If you see a scratch on your car, just go, thanks, Trump. I mean, to be honest, a majority of the negative things that are about to happen to a lot of people are literally because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is to blame for the degradation of the economy and taking us back to what? September of last year in terms of earnings? These businesses aren't necessarily going to bring business back to the United States. A lot of them will just close down. These businesses are already paying thousands of dollars more per business to bring in products overseas to the United States. It's just not feasible to, say for example, like shoes. It's not really feasible to make a shoe here. Nike did the calculation on how much they would have to sell a shoe for, and a standard $150 shoe would go for over $450 to do it here in the United States. Like, are you going to pay $450 for a pair of shoes? You know what might happen? If there is a genuine shoes shortage in the United States, I think you could actually legitimately start seeing cobblers come back. People are going to start repairing their shoes again. There's going to be a cobbler. We're actually going back to the 19th century, guys. That's literally what Donald Trump said he wanted to do. We're going to get cobblers, everyone. Could you imagine? Frizdaz says, milk carton sandals. Yo, I bought a pair of sandals years ago. And I paid $60 for these sandals. My brother said to me, he said, trust me. You want a good pair of sandals where it's just going to last you. And my brother was just telling me, he was like, and I was like, dude, this sandal is $60. What do you mean? It's just sandals. And he's like, trust me, you gotta buy some these $60 sandals. And so then I was like, fine, I'll buy the stupid sandals. I have had these sandals, I'm wearing them right now, for years. They are really, really comfortable sandals. And sadly, they're at end of life. But I've had these things for several years now. But look at my sandal here. See that? It's so dug into that it's basically on the sole. So there's only like a matter of time before like it just starts digging through the sole and onto the floor. So I'm gonna have to buy some $300 sandal. Krista says, when I lived in the EU, there was a guy who made all his own shoes out of tire rubber in my neighborhood. That's awesome. Honestly, you know, it would not surprise me if we started seeing cobblers. I'm not paying $350 for a pair of shoes. You kidding? Who's going to pay that? $350 for some shoes. What about shirts? What's going to happen with the cost of shirts? All of our shirts, they're made overseas. You're going to tell me that all of the production is going to somehow... These supply chains take years to develop. We could go the entire Donald Trump presidency and not have any of these supply chains built by the time he's done in office. Assuming there's a peaceful transfer of power after the 4 years. Though I don't think Donald Trump would be as justified in a third term. I think people would turn on him quickly if he tried to push for a third term. Flashy says, clothing and food are things I would pretty much never tariff whatsoever. I agree with certain targeted tariffs for things like manufacturing. I completely agree with you. At the end of the day, this affects average, everyday people. It's going to negatively impact average people, right? It's going to increase the cost of everything. But I tell you what, you know, I went to a restaurant nearby and it was so weird. This lady, we never talk politics, but she sees me there all the time. I don't know what compelled her. I never talk politics like outside of my YouTube channel. Well, that's not true. Let me rephrase that. I avoid talking about politics outside of my YouTube channel, you know, just trying to be polite. April Cox says, what's the tariff on those meaty cigars? Oh, man, you're making me sad, April. You just made me sad. I need another sip of my whiskey after that. But yes, the price of everything is going to go up if the tariffs stick in place, if they decide to do so in the next 90 days. I'm so glad that they decided not to do the tariffs for 90 days, but it's just for 90 days. There's no actual agreement. Where did Trump get in his head that tariffs are a good idea? Is he stupid? He has an economics degree, a bachelor's degree in economics. Did he miss the course on tariffs? Why does he think that it would be good for the economy? There is no evidence that the tariff would be beneficial for the economy. None. Flashy says, only in extreme cases like tilapia from China would I tariff, because even Seafood Watch says to avoid it. It's very bad for you due to the disgusting farming practices. I love tilapia. There's really bad farming practice. I mean, I'm sure anything that's harvested for like human consumption, because of just how many people there are, there's really no, like, I'm not aware of any like sustainable way of like, oh, humane treatment or no hormones. Like, there's millions of people you have to feed, and like that's the problem. And not only that, it has to make it from point A to point B before going bad. And what that means is we need to hormone the heck out of these things. We need to make them big and fat, and they need to be not susceptible to spoilage. You know, that's the reality. Things have to make it from point A to point B. So if it results in, you know, poor farming practices, I mean, that's it just is the reality. I mean, if there is an alternative, great, let's do that alternative. But like, I understand the limitations that exist. Okay, let's see here. April Cox says, doesn't Trump have a whole team of people who can advise on these things? Yes, he does. But here's the thing. He can sit there with Ben Bernanke, he could sit there with Alan Greenspan and every single Harvard economist singing in chorus, in a crescendo of tariffs don't grow economies. He would not listen. Okay? He alone believes that the tariffs is what's good for the economy. Complete disconnect from reality. How do you even negotiate with somebody like that? They get something stuck in their head and they just stay that way forever, no matter what. He will never back down, right? Because backing down would admit that you're wrong about something, and that is not something Donald Trump does. He's never done that, and he never will do that. So even if he's dead wrong about something, he'll double, triple, quadruple down, even to his own detriment. Imagine you take a businessman who received as much money as Donald Trump, and you are capable of purchasing one of the best casinos in Atlanta, the Taj Mahal, and manage to bankrupt the Taj Mahal. Dude, it's a casino. You are mathematically determined to make money. The math is on your side here. All you got to do is make sure you're filing your necessary paperwork for the state. Make sure you're abiding by the law, and have a good management company that will manage it for you. And then you just sit on your butt, spend the money where it needs to be spent, and just collect money. Donald Trump doesn't even have to look at a balance sheet. He could just tell people, hey, you do this, you do that, and that's it. Fristas says, not only is the math on your side, it's 1,000 to 1 on your side. Yeah, correct. All of these like slot machines and stuff, they're all electronic. It's all digital. You put one of these machines and it can be programmed to make you money. Well, how do you lose money at that? It's a money-making machine. How do you make that bankrupt? Oh, what does this machine do? It prints money. No clue how to manage that. No clue. Not sure what to do. I guess we got a bankrupt. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, bro, are you stupid? I don't have any experience with a casino. But if I could bankroll a casino, first thing that's happening is a management company that is capable of running a freaking casino. And whatever money that needs to be spent, I spend the money, and then that's it. I do good from there, right? I just collect my money and just let the thing run. I don't have to touch it. The management company is responsible for the casino, not me. It's just wild, man. Stupid. The guy's an idiot. He's an idiot. You can look this up yourself. Okay, they did an analysis on his speech patterns, and found that he speaks at a 4th grade level. 4th grade! Just listen to him talk. He doesn't talk like an intelligent person. All right. I got distracted. I wanted to tell you about my story. So I went to a nearby restaurant. This lady, my waitress, she just started talking about, Donald Trump. I didn't prompt this. She just started talking about it. I was like, what? But she said, I voted Trump. I thought he was going to do good because he did us good the first term. I beg to differ. I do not believe that he did good in the first term. That's another story, though. But she said, I thought he did good the first term, but now I think I made a mistake voting for Trump. I had not heard a single person around me. I'm in Florida, by the way. I have not heard a single person talk bad about Trump outside of like just a tiny circle of people. Most people very pro-Trump. I mean, all over, every single truck and car. I mean, you just Trump, 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 Trump. Seeing signs of Trump, seeing, going to the flea market and looking at all of the Trump memorabilia, Trump flags, back the blue, Trump 2024. What else? Just seeing everything, always consistent, very pro-Trump. And this lady, first one, just random person, random comes in, says, I made a mistake voting Donald Trump. And I'm like, the only way, I said to her, she said, I thought he was going to do good. I thought he would do a good job, and he's not doing a good job. He's doing the opposite of a good job. And I said, I knew he was going to do a bad job. She was like, really? You knew he was going to do a bad job? How did you know that? And I said, I read probably about half a dozen books both pro and anti-Trump, reading about him and, his legacy, how he made his money, other politicians that talked good about him, politicians that talked bad about him, everything, all surrounding Trump, people who have direct access to Donald Trump. I read Pete Hegseth's book. I read Ron DeSantis's book. I read Kristi Noem's book. I read Bob Woodward books. I did not read The Art of the Deal. I should read that. I should read that one. I read so much. I read how he made his money. I learned everything there is to know about Trump. Everything. And I'm like, this guy is an idiot. He's an idiot. And so this lady is like, how did you know? I said, I read half a dozen books about this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. He didn't know what he was doing the first term. In the first term, he coasted off of the success of the previous president, didn't do a whole lot. And then COVID hit, and I'll grant him that he helped initiate Operation Warp Speed. So I'll give him credit for Operation Warp Speed regarding COVID. But then he just kind of undermined his whole thing and was downplaying COVID. He was like, oh, whatever, who cares? People weren't wearing masks. People were getting sick. They were dying, for the first spread. The whole goal was to just not max out the hospitals. And he just didn't do a good job managing it. He had all of the levers available for him to do something, and he just didn't pull the levers that he needed to pull. This comes down to that Donald Trump is not a politician. He didn't know what to do when push came to shove in a very, very dangerous situation. That's what happened. And so the economy tanked. Jobs were getting lost like crazy, right? This is at the end of Trump's presidency. I have no idea why people think that the first term of Trump was good. Like, where did they get that idea from? The economy was sinking quickly. And then, as soon as Biden takes office, boom, immediate, boom, 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 boom. Right? We opened the economy. They even Biden drilled for more gas than even Trump did. Did everything he could, right? Obviously, inflation increased. That's correct. That's because of COVID. It increased everywhere. It wouldn't have mattered if Trump was in office or if Biden was in office. Inflation would have happened one way or another. But at least Biden was doing something about it. Trump pretended it didn't exist. And then, time for everybody to vote, all anybody could think about is how much their products were costing, and they put all of the blame on Biden. They're like, it's Biden's fault, Biden's fault. Biden did this. Even though Biden did everything he could to try to mitigate it. In fact, compared to any other OECD country, we tampered down inflation faster than any other OECD country. We did it faster than all of the other European nations. Now, saying that is not convincing to the average person, right? Because at the end of the day, they looked at their product, they said, but it's still expensive. Well, inflation is kind of like when you're bleeding, you're hemorrhaging, right? And you're bleeding out onto the floor, okay? You can repair the wound, which is what happened, but now there's blood all over the floor. You got to clean the blood. The point is that the inflation still happened, And so saying that we recovered faster than any OECD country is not really a convincing argument, because they're just still seeing the products expensive. Well, now you're going to see shortly things getting very expensive. Very, very, very expensive. Breaking the Habit says, it's nice to smoke a cigar as a man. Thank you. Hey, women can smoke cigars. What's wrong with that? Who says a woman can't have a cigar? I've seen women smoke cigars. Women can have a cigar. Cigars are great. I love cigars. Don't smoke, though. Smoking is bad for you. I'm not suggesting to smoke. Fristess says, the heck are you on about, Red Mag? He's expressing his opinion. Name calling is the typical go-to for people who don't actually have anything useful to say. Correct. You're 100% correct, Fristess. Yes. You'll find quite often people will come to my channel just to hate on me because I'm anti-Trump. Just because I'm anti the orange goblin, there's a horrible, horrible person. He doesn't care about you. He's spending most of his time right now that he has done all of those executive orders, he just effed off to his golf courses and is just doing golfing. He's probably doing golfing right now in Florida, right now as we speak. He's probably right now sitting there like, oh, I got to do some golfing. He's got a bunch of Secret Service agents sitting there on the green. Sorry, you're right. Bobro says, you mean dear leader. You're correct. Our dear leader. Let's see here. Breaking the Habit says, you must try a Matador cigar. Is it good? I love the Garcias. But yeah, I'm open to trying new cigars. Breaking the Habit says, the Cubans are not good anymore, I must say. The Cuban cigars, speaking of which, why don't we open the market to the Cubans? Can we stop sanctioning them? Why are we sanctioning them still? The USSR is gone. Leading Yankee says, get a life. Stop smoking. Listen, I'm having a good day here. I don't know what you're doing, but me, I'm having a great time. Breaking the Habit says, cigar like a Monte Cristo. I've had Monte Cristos. They're good. Bobro says, they've been sanctioned for like 70 years. Yeah, bro, can we just stop with that? The Cuban Missile Crisis is over. Do we really need to, we don't need to do, like, we don't need to sanction them anymore, right? Like, it's just making Cubans suffer for no reason. And it gives commies a reason to say that the United States is in the wrong. I mean, fair enough, we are in the wrong. We're sanctioning the heck out of this country that really is not a threat to us anymore. In fact, could be fabulous for the tourist industry. It could be amazing for cigars and cigar manufacturing. We could open up the floodgates and really just increase trade and improve the lives of average Cuban citizens. Who cares if they're a socialist system? Who cares? Just trade with them. Who cares? It's over. The liberals won. Okay, the socialists, or at least the USSR, they lost. Okay, it's over. Just open up the freaking floodgates so we can trade with them again. I want a Cuban cigar, don't you? Fristaz says, it's okay. According to my friends, just because I don't jump on and bully and name call people with liberal ideologies doesn't make me a liberal. I just thought it, sorry, a lot of people. I just thought it made me a decent person. I completely agree with you. Fristaz says, apparently you can be respectful and not be a liberal. Can I just say, and I just started counting things that Republicans are wrong about. They're wrong about like 90% of the things they push. What, you think drilling for more oil is the right move? I got news for you. That's not a sustainable strategy. We got 50 years. And based on our current reserves, we'll be out by then, based on our current expenditures. You're going to tell me we're going to take this non-renewable energy resource and base our entire economy on a non-renewable energy resource? I got news for you. It ain't happening. Red Mag says, everything he needs now after a drink and a cigar is one of these fake women in his arm. Breaking the Habit says, try a sweet rum with that cigar. I like whiskeys with my cigars. I do. I like whiskeys. It's just what I do. It's what I drink, what I enjoy. Bobro says he's playing Arkham Asylum. Great game. I haven't played it, but I've heard it's a really good game. I tend to steer away from superhero movies and games. I don't know. It's not entertaining for me. More entertaining is like, I don't know. I like RPGs. RPGs are really fun. But hey, to each their own. Fristaz says, I'm a little addicted to Path of Exile. Path of Exile is a fabulous game. Great game. Great game. Play it. Chaos, the centrist perspective says, have you drank a Black Label before? I believe I have. I think so. I don't remember though. But yeah, Path of Exile, I played the heck out of that game. Love that game. I'm curious if Path of Exile 2 is any good. I'm interested in trying that game out, but I don't know. Red Mag says, probably also addicted to living in your mom's basement. I got news for you, man. I got my own house. You already know this, Red Mag. I have my own house. Life's good. Life's easy for me. I got a fixed mortgage. It's not changing. With or without Trump. Things are going to get more expensive for me, but I'll live. I'll be all right. I got money saved. Money in the stock market, which I've lost thousands of dollars thanks to ya boy. But it'll go up. It'll go up eventually. Whether it does it now or 4 years from now, doesn't matter. I'm not pulling out. I'm gonna keep buying stock and just buy and hold, baby. I'm just gonna buy and hold, and when I'm 70, I'll sell all of it and then live the rest of my life. Christas says you have 4,000 hours on Path of Exile. That's amazing. Holy crap. I think I got like a tenth of that. So you got me beat. Red Mag says, do I know that? I'm not sure. Do we know each other? Yeah. Yeah, we talk all the time on Discord. What are you talking about? My house is right there. See? It's my townhouse. I own it. It's mine. I own it. Paying off the mortgage, doing great. It's a fixed mortgage, so it's not going up anytime soon. It's just going to be that amount, whatever I got to pay. That's it. Every month, I pay it. Bobro says, I love Path of Exile. It is a good game. It's a really good game. Definitely recommended. Definitely. Bobro says, how are you doing with stocks and stuff? Yeah, I lost thousands of dollars. But when you're down, you don't sell. You just hold. All right. I'm going to tell you something. There's a guy, and you can Google this guy. The guy's name is Ronald Reed. This dude is, for me, is like gospel. It was this guy. He lived his life. He worked at a J.C. Penney as a janitor for decades. And he worked as an auto mechanic decades again. He was he went to he was a soldier in World War II, and he was just a buy and hold investor of blue chip stocks. For those who are not aware of what a blue chip is just just a company that consistently makes earnings over a long period of time and provides consistent dividends for that stock. It's just companies that are very well known. You know the names of these companies. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Walmart, Home Depot. These are companies that have been around. Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble. These companies have been around for decades, and they've been making money for decades. Some of them over 100 years. You know, they've just been making money. And his argument, what he did is he just would buy these stocks and just held them, right? He would buy a little bit here, a little bit there. And over several decades, you know, he ended up, he just kind of worked. He just worked his whole life. When he died, he bequeathed $4 million to a hospital and another, I think another $1.5 million or like 2 or 3 million to a library. And people were like, what? The guy had amassed a fortune of over $9 million. $9 million he amassed. He worked at J.C. Penney and he worked as an auto mechanic. We're talking Scruffy the janitor. Scruffy the janitor. The guy even has a mustache like Scruffy. He's got big old eyebrows too, like Scruffy. Scruffy the janitor. And he bequeathed like over $5 million at the time of his death. And all he did was he's a typical buy and hold investor in blue chip stocks. That's it. That's all he did. It's like the most brain dead strategy ever. There's no strategy behind that. All he did is just put money in the stock market, and he just kept doing that. Over time, it just compounded. It got more and more and more, and he just had this giant fortune by the end of everything. I want to take a lesson from Ronald Reed. Hold. Hold. Just sit there, watch it grow, hold. You'll be all right. These companies, they're going to keep making money no matter what. Trump, no Trump, they know how to make money. They've been doing it for a long time, and it's never going to be any different. So this is what I'm saying. Just get into the stock market, get a Robinhood account, get a Schwab account, whatever. And just throw money at the stock market. Right now it's great. Now's a great time to buy. Great time. If you got any amount of money, dude, a McDonald's stock is like $200. You know, you got $200 lying around, have a share in McDonald's stock. McDonald's isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and they keep making money. Walmart, they keep making money. Yeah, the stocks are down right now. What about 20 years from now? You think that they're going to be down? Come on, come on, come on. If things go down, go southward, you got a lot more to worry about than your stock portfolio. So I take a lesson from Ronald Reed. Guy was smart. My parents, they never had a lot of money. My dad and mom, they never had a lot of money. They moved to the United States and wanted to make something of themselves. And they live better lives now. You know, both of them. They do great. They're doing better. But, man, I lived through my childhood. We were poor. We really were. We didn't have money. There was no money. And I saw what it was like to not have money. And I said to myself, I will never be that. I will do everything in my power to avoid being that. Like worrying about where my next paycheck is coming from or my next pay is coming from. I don't want to rely on the government. I don't want to rely on anything. I want to just build myself up. Now, I'm nothing against government programs. I think we need them. Wandering Robot Studio says, I lived in a trailer park. I get it, man. My parents lived in studio apartments. And, my dad just didn't like to work. He didn't work that much. My mom worked like crazy, but she made so little. It's tiny. My mom separated from my dad, and my mom just did everything she could to take care of 2 kids. She was always looking for that somebody to help take care of me and my brother. And I love my mom. I love my dad. I love them both. If they're watching this stream right now, I love them both. I love you both. A lot. I was a very difficult child, to say the least. Not easy to discipline. Very rebellious. I've been rebellious my whole life. I don't take to authority too well. I always like doing what I like to do. And I piss off a lot of people by doing what I like to do. And even now, me talking my liberal nonsense, people don't like me anyway. I don't care. I don't care. Hate watch me, love watch me, whatever. You do you. That's you. I'm going to keep living my life. I am out of old-fashioned. My cigar is done, but I think I will have another old-fashioned. What do you guys think? I think I want another old-fashioned. How's my mic working? Do I sound more clear? I hope I do. I spent a little bit of money, nice microphone, and I hope I sound okay. All right, let's get another old-fashioned. Let's rotate this camera. I gotta sweep this area. Woo! All right, come on. Okay. Bobro says, yes, you do sound better. Thank you. Good. I'm glad I spent on it. Now, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Really, really, really small YouTuber. I'm the smallest YouTuber ever. I'm very, very tiny. And so even one subscriber is like, whoa, thank you. I can't thank you enough for watching this stream with me. I'm sick and tired of the right-wing policies. I'm sick and tired of people not being educated about politics or not understanding what is going on. And so I try to do what I can to argue my position. Sorry, just give me a second. I got to open this. There we go. pour. There we go. I got to get more Woodford. Woodford Reserve. Very good stuff. Great stuff. Highly recommended. I'll buy some more. Hopefully it didn't go up too much. The price of it, that is. All right. Just mix this baby up. Adam Wright says, how would you suggest one becomes educated on politics? All right. Number one, use reputable news sites. Reputable. Okay, that's important. Reputable. Look at the Ad Fontes media bias chart for ones that have high reliability in fact reporting, and stick to those. Ignore all of the others. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch MSNBC. I don't watch Fox News. I don't listen to the Young Turks. I don't listen to, the right-wing pundits like Joe Rogan. I don't listen to those people. It's poison for the brain. Listen to reputable news, and also read books. And if reading books is not your thing, fine. Get an Audible subscription. That's what I do. I have an Audible subscription and read book after book after book. Treat it like it's a podcast and just listen to the book. And you will become more educated in politics than anybody around you, because people don't read. They don't. They look at TikTok. They look at people like me. Or maybe not. They don't really look at me. They look at sensationalism, or people who say blatant falsehoods. And they just hook, line, and sinker on things that are blatantly false. You have to understand that social media people who are in social media has a vested interest to lie. To lie, yes, to lie. Here's how. If you're lying, what happens is someone is going to disagree with you because you're lying. And there's going to be somebody in the comments that's going to respond, oh, you're wrong, blah, 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 you're wrong, this is why. And then other people are going to respond to that saying, no, they're right about this. And so what happens is that increases engagement, right? When you say a blatant lie, something that's wrong, people must comment on that. They have to comment on what you're wrong about. But then there's people that will defend you and say that you're right about that, right? And then what ends up happening, because you've created a ton of engagement, that is beneficial, right? It benefits you to lie. You just lie and then and just double down on a lie. And then people will watch your stream because you create a lot of engagement. That's good for the algorithm. The algorithm wants to see engagement. And if you're sitting there making engagement, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter if it's a lie, not a lie. Joe Rogan is as big as he is because he says things that are just wrong. People say, oh, you're wrong about that. And then other people say, you're right. Boom. Engagement. Easy. Easy. I won't lie to you, though. I'll tell you things as I see them. And what I say is based on the over 100 books that I have read regarding several political issues. That's how you become educated on politics. That's how you do it. Woo! Ooh! Man! That's a spicy boy. Ooh. God, that's nice. That's so nice. That's so really nice. Oh my goodness. Base God Flashy says, How would you rank Politico on reliability? I don't know much about Politico. Good question. Honestly, pull it up on the Ad Fontes media bias chart, and if you're not seeing it on high reliability, fact-based reporting, ignore. Throw it in the garbage. Right? Anything that's not in the high fact-based reality position, just ignore. Move on. You're filling your mind with poison. I understand it can be entertaining to fill your mind with poison and brain rot material, but really the goal is to become educated about it and provide your own critical thinking and be good at your own critical thinking. That's really important. Frista says, I highly recommend Grounded News Blind Spot. I've not heard of them. Me personally, I read AP, read Reuters articles. I also do the PBS News Hour. Yeah, I listen to that every morning, pretty much every morning. It's like clockwork. I swear, it's wild. Like I put it up on my iPad, and I have that playing on my iPad while I'm showering. I have this big shower area where I can put my iPad on one side and I'm showering on the other side, and I'm sitting there just showering while I'm listening to the news. And so as a result, I end up knowing a lot about politics, and I find that a lot of people are very, very, very uneducated in politics, which fair enough. People have their own lives. I don't have any kids and I don't have a wife, so I don't have a lot of distractions. My distraction is just going on the internet and reading as much as and listening to audiobooks and listening to news, and it's just perpetually that. And I listen to even positions that I don't agree with, right? Like I said, I mean, I read Christine Ohm's book, I read Ron DeSantis's book, I read Pete Hegseth's book. I read right-wing news source or right-wing books. I do, right? And I've come to this conclusion and went on a giant political journey. I mean, heck, I started as a Republican. I mean, I was listening to nothing but Republican stuff, and I was very, very Republican. But then after a while, I became a libertarian. But then the problem is that I kept reading. There was never a point where I stopped, and then ended up becoming a Democrat by just learning more. I started listening to the Democrat talking points and realizing that I was in a bit of an echo chamber, listening to libertarian talking points. Fristas says, they give you takes from both parties that are written independently. I think it helps me keep an unbiased perspective. I like that, yes. I believe that right-wingers, like Republicans, like the MAGA Republicans, they're wrong about like 90% of the things they say. There is 10% they are right about. And I will grant them they're correct about that 10%, but man, in general, they're just wrong. They're wrong about all sorts of topics. Anything. It's wild. Rain says, ew, I know. I know I'm not a socialist. I know. I'm sorry, I'm not an anarcho-syndicalist. Put me in the gulags. I deserve the gulag because I'm a gross liberal. I gotta tell you, it's a really nice day out. It's 70 degrees. It's 70 degrees right now. It's such a nice temperature. The sun is beautiful. I see flowers blooming on my oleanders. I got white flowers blooming here, pink flowers over there. What a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day, despite all the negative news coming from politics. Rain says, no way, we don't do that gulag here. We do the voluntary work camp. Just because you're a fan of me, Rain, I'll go and spend a month at the voluntary work camp for you, just for you. Godly. Rain says, or the wall. Either way is good. Speaking of the wall, bro, okay. After you're done watching my live, consider watching my latest video. There was a debate that I had regarding illegal immigrants. And I think currently what's going on with the immigrants, illegal immigrants in the United States, it's a humanitarian blight. It's a disaster. And it has been self-imposed by Republicans by making it difficult for asylees to enter into the country. What happens is that increases illegal immigration, right? If there's no valid pathway to citizenship, people stop turning to going to the port of entry. Instead, they'll just go to the cartel and try to get themselves off of into the United States. Or they can also use a tourist visa. They can just get a tourist visa. I think it's like $400. And then they get a plane ticket to the United States, and then boom, that's it. They're in the country. They don't need they're not worried about any of that. They just hide and just go work some illegal job, and that's what they do. That's what they do, right? If you don't have a valid pathway to citizenship, there's going to be a lot more illegal immigrants. And I'm going to tell you right now, Donald Trump's policy in not having any asylum seekers or not having any valid pathway to citizenship, this is not going to actually solve the problem. You may see nobody at the border, but that's because they're no longer going to the border. They're instead just going to the cartel to get across. Either that or they just get a tourist visa. That's what's going to happen. Right? It's not expensive to get a tourist visa. It's not. You can just travel to the, and it's not like you could just deny tourist visas. The United States benefits greatly from the tourism industry. All sorts of different states benefit from tourism. And so they're not going to get rid of tourist visas. There's really no valid way to get rid of a tourist visa without, I don't know, shooting ourselves in the foot. So the solution to dealing with illegal immigrants is simple. Have a valid, simple pathway to green card status. If there is a simple, valid pathway, you will not have very many illegal immigrants. You have very, very little because, let's be honest, making a deal with the cartel, that's dangerous. People are scared. Tourist visas, also scary. You're going to get a tourist visa and stay in the United States with the possibility of being deported at any moment? Of course they want to go the legal route. But if there is no legal route, then what's going to happen is that people who just want to make a better life for themselves are just going to go the illegal route. Okay? So Donald Trump's policy of just pretending that asylum seekers aren't a thing, going against basic international law, by the way. Most countries accept asylum seekers. Pretending that they don't exist and kicking them all out is not the solution. Into the Break says, why can't they make a better life in their own home country? I agree with you. We should end the drug war so that way, and then help out these countries that are more destitute, so that way we can establish better diplomatic relationships with these countries and then have less illegal immigration. I would be perfectly okay with, hey, let's make asylum seeking easier, and let's do what we can to help stabilize these countries so we have less immigrants wanting to come to our country. We need to end the drug war and look at it in a rehabilitative process, and that would reduce the power to the cartels and have availability for these democratic countries to do the will of the people, which would, in effect, make their country better. And even better, we should have trade agreements that don't just benefit the United States, but benefit both countries. Trade agreements, not sanctions, not tariffs, but beneficial trade agreements between the United States and these countries that will help stabilize those regions, and you will in turn have less illegal immigration. Completely agree with you. Into the break. Wandering Robot Studio says, we had open immigration for the first 200 years of the country. Was that good or bad for us? Obviously, we know that the end result is that it was good. It was good. In fact, I think it was like into the 1960s and 70s where most states in the United States were not accepting of many foreigners coming in wanting to work. One state that did decide that they wanted to accept as much foreigners as they wanted was California. They had workers' visas for people who were educated to come to the country and work. The end result is that a majority of the FANG corporations, so that's Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, as well as other technology companies, they were founded by foreigners. As a result, California in 2025 is one of the largest creators of wealth in the entire country. If we did not accept foreigners, then we would likely not have the technology boom that we see today in 2025. In fact, the amount of money federally that goes to California is paid in spades back. In fact, California pays more into the system than they get out of it by a margin of 3. For every dollar they receive in federal benefits, they pay 3. This is not the case for right-wing states. In fact, right-wing states pay less into the system than what they get, which means that it is, in fact, the Democrat-leaning cities and states that subsidize the right-wing ones. That's the reality. You can Google that. I'm not making that up. Into the Break says, California had slaves long after the abolition of slavery. Many northern states rejected the 13th Amendment as well. So, I don't know about you, but it was the southern states that argued in favor of slavery, and the northern states argued against slavery. In fact, the common argument was actually to say that the northern states were the capitalist states, whereas the statist South maintained slavery. We had a whole civil war about it, if you're not aware. The end result is that the southern states remained agrarian, and the northern states industrialized. And the northern states had much more economic output throughout the Gilded Age in comparison to the southern states. So slavery was seen as an economic blight because you're leaning on something that not only is a humanitarian disaster, but the opportunity cost that is created by them maintaining slavery is worse than just them being free citizens to be able to interact with the market economy. The northern states had the market economy, and the market economy won. So if you want, I personally believe that, capitalism is good, but it has its flaws, some significant flaws. And one of the flaws that I've noticed regarding capitalist countries is that there's not enough worker rights. It is necessary, in order to have proper capitalism, you need to have a equal trade as a non-coercive trade that comes between the owner of a company and the workers. And it is shown that union states economically do better than states that are non-union. as in right to work states. Rather, what I like to call it what it really is, right to bend over states. Stop calling it right to work state. It's a right to bend over. If you don't have an equal say in worker rights, then the company can take advantage of their workers. So it is under my belief that the unions should be mandatory throughout the United States to improve worker rights and increase the working class the standard of living. Into the Break says, wrong! Revisionist! I would love to hear your argument. Into the Break says, statist south is an oxymoron. Way off base. I've not been proven wrong on this topic. I have open debates Thursday, Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Show up. You can call the number. I have a phone number, or you can contact me directly on Discord. I have a Discord stage debate on discord.gg/modern day debate. If you think that you are right and I am wrong and I'm revising history, fine. Show it to me. I will change my opinion on a dime, instantly. If you have compelling evidence from valid historical sources, I will change my opinion right in front of you. Frista says, all but one state is right to work state. No, wrong. A majority of states are right to work states. Into the Break says, the South was already abolishing slavery. The North needed the slaves. Abe Lincoln wanted to send them back to Africa, by the way. I've not heard Abraham Lincoln saying that he wanted to, if I'm not mistaken, he wanted to free the slaves because he wanted the votes, if I'm not mistaken. I don't pretend that Abraham Lincoln is this wonderful person. I think that he was applying a utility in his current situation, and then ended up, creating a civil war. But there was a giant civil war of the South versus the North regarding the ownership of slavery. There was the secession of the South to have slavery. Frista says, that's what I said. There's only one state that is not right to work. I apologize. I'm maybe misreading what you're saying here. Vocal Loco says, F, right to work. Got the same vibe as saying someone is quiet quitting. LFMAO. LMFAO. Yes. I honestly don't understand the movement of quiet quitting. Let me explain myself. When somebody is just like, I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm quiet quitting. Okay. What does that mean? Oh, it's where you do the bare minimum and you just do what you're told and don't do more than that. And I'm like, so you're doing your job? No. It's not like where you're just doing your job. It's you're like, you're doing the bare minimum. You're just doing what you're told and not doing any more. You're not taking any more. As soon as it's 5 o'clock, you clock out. I'm like, yeah, that's just doing your job. Don't let a company take more of your time than what you're given. Just do your job and be done. You don't have to go above and beyond. Just do your job. You're just talking about doing your job. That's not quiet quitting. You're just doing your job. I don't understand that idea. Like, oh, you're just doing the bare minimum and then you clock out at 5. I'm like, okay. You're doing your job. Got it. Sick. Based. Bobro says all but one is different from most. I don't know this all but one. There are multiple states that are union states, and there are multiple states, much more, that are right to work. And the right to work states fundamentally do worse economically than the union states. It makes it better because the union states, they get paid more. They do. They empirically live higher quality of living standards. They do. Okay? We can show this. I wish I had my computer in front of you and I could show you the study. Again, if you just follow me on YouTube, you'll see when I'm streaming live, I have these studies for you to observe. Union states do better than non-union states, period. Right to work states are a scam. They were always a scam. They were there to revoke the rights of workers, and the workers take it in the back. They take it from behind. That's what happens. Bobro says, most indicates a majority, but there could be more than one. All but one is 49 out of 50. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, there are multiple union, like I said, multiple union states, a minority, less union states than there are right to work. But the union states do better. They fare better than the right to work states. They do. They just do. I don't know what to tell you. Krista says, I was mistaken. For some reason, I thought it was only Maryland. Thanks everyone for calling me out. Fair enough. Listen, when I find new evidence, I change my opinion on a dime. And if I see somebody doing that, I commend them. Never, and it's grade school that teaches this. Grade school chides you for being wrong about something or not knowing something in the moment, right? It's like getting called in front of class. You've got the student that doesn't know what's going on. And then they're just like, you, blah, blah, blah. What is blah, blah, blah? And then they're there to specifically to chide you. And if you don't know right then and there, everybody kind of snickers and laughs at you for not knowing what's going on, right? And I think that's terrible. It's terrible. It is totally acceptable to admit when you don't know something. And then when you realize you don't know something, you correct yourself on it. Man, commend that, because you're taught in school that is not okay. But it is okay to say that you're wrong about something. And like I said, if somebody, Into the Break says, have you ever talked with Robert Noer? That was my first debate on Modern Day Debate. I did. I had a debate with Rob Noer. That dude, I'll be honest, he had a lot of facts on his end. It became painfully apparent he was using ChatGPT entirely. And now that I know his tool, it's easier for me to combat him. Bobro says, we need more people, more fristasses, aka more people just admitting when they are wrong. Totally agree. Admit when you find new information, just change your opinion. You're not weak for doing that. Do that. Take the time and say you were wrong about something. Okay? Let me give you an example of a time where I did not admit that I was wrong about something. And I still think I'm correct about this. I'm sure there's going to be a group of people that will remember that I had a debate with Andrew Wilson. Giant Andrew Wilson, 150,000 subscriber Andrew Wilson, who argues for a theocratic state with... he argues that women stay at not in the workplace, but at home. And we have he argues for a theocracy. And we were arguing against whether or not trans women were women. And to this day, I get people telling me that I was wrong, saying trans women are women. I lack logic. I've watched that debate so many times. I watched it in editing. I watched it just as is. I watched it when I was in bed, lying down, just looking at it. And I've analyzed it over and over and over and over and over and over. And what it came down to was he didn't seem to understand my argument in proving him wrong, saying that trans women can be women by his own light, that I had to break it down into a syllogism for him. He said, break it down into a syllogism for me. I then broke it down into a syllogism, and then Andrew Wilson took my syllogism, took the man-woman syllogism, and replaced man and woman with cat and dog syllogism. And then he said that my argument was valid, but it wasn't sound. And I remember reading this in a philosophy book, valid versus sound, but in the moment, I didn't remember it. I was just like, what are you talking about? What is it? And so he told me what valid versus sound was, and it just kind of caught me off guard. But the reality is that he took my syllogism and he replaced the syllogism, that the valid and sound syllogism, with cat and dog syllogism, the same syllogism, except it was cat and dog, making it valid but not sound, and then said that my argument was not sound. And then I was just like, but the problem is that my argument wasn't invalid. It wasn't not sound either. It was valid and sound, but when he just decided to change my argument into a false equivalency and a straw man, both false equivalency and a straw man, right? He said that my argument wasn't sound, right? He took the man and woman thing and then said cat and dog, right? Two distinct taxonomic differences. And people to this day tell me that I was wrong about this. And I'm like, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. And even now, I don't believe that I was wrong. I may have lost in terms of rhetoric, but in terms of me being correct, no, I was right. I was right in that moment. And it's kind of like entering into a room of flat earthers, and you're sitting there arguing your position of a round earth, and you just have a ton of people just chiding you for being wrong about a round earth, and then they're like, you lost the debate. And it's like, I mean, yeah, I guess in terms of rhetoric, but I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Into the Break says, you miss that you're jumping categories. You're transitioning categories from actual to conceptual. No, I was talking about the correct category. So what it came down to was I asked him, I said, how do you determine somebody to be a woman? And it came down to, I said, you look at them. That's actually what everybody does when they determine somebody to be a woman. We look at external phenotypic characteristics and within half a second determine somebody to be a woman. So by that light, if somebody passed the phenotypic characteristics by your very position that you determine somebody to be a woman based on how you look at them, is they would be a woman. Ergo, a trans woman that passes can be a woman. Done. I just did it. Done. Right? And then he said, and then he changed it to cat and dog. Into the Break says, make the syllogism now, I'll help you understand. I'll be honest, I don't remember. I have it written down. I could probably pull it up. You'll have to do it when I have my computer in front of me, where I have the notes. The notes are still there. They're in a folder. I just have to pull it up. I don't want to misrepresent it, because honestly, to this day, I still think it's a beautiful syllogism. It worked for the purpose of the argument. He's never going to acknowledge the embryological, sociological, the psychological, the neurological implications of being trans. He was never going to acknowledge that. So what I needed to do was confirm that a trans woman can be a woman by his own light. So I stuck it to what he does to determine somebody to be a woman. That's what I did. Maybe in terms of rhetoric, that wasn't convincing. Maybe it could be seen as weaselly or conniving, but that's what happened. Into the Break says, seriously though, what's the syllogism you used on Andrew? Yeah, hold on. Into the Break says, right on. I do these casual streams. I do like these casual streams of yours. You're so spurgy in debates, but here you're a real person. You may want to look at my later debates, some of my other videos, because I've definitely calmed down. I'm starting to get kind of a groove going, and I come in just not spurgy during a debate. I can't wait for this this Rachel Wilson debate. It keeps getting pushed off every week. Rachel Wilson is sick. She is legitimately sick. I was able to confirm by modern day debate that she is actually sick. So I'm just waiting for her to get better so we can continue that debate. I do want to have the debate. I have a really good argument for her waiting. It's there. It's just I have to present it. I have a dang PowerPoint. I don't want to spoil it. No spoiling. But I read her book. I read her book, The Occult of Feminism. I did. She believes that feminism stems from the occult, which is so bizarre because she also referenced Mary Wollstonecraft. Is she willing to say that Mary Wollstonecraft is of the occult? Mary Wollstonecraft is a Christian. She frequently wrote very similar to John Locke's arguments, similar in that Christian fashion, in favor of feminism, except it was from a Lockean perspective. And it's how can you say that this is the occult? I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense. She even referenced Mary Wollstonecraft in her own book, but still says that feminism comes from the occult. I'm just listen, I understand that there's feminine figures in the occult. That doesn't mean, therefore, all of feminism is the occult. That doesn't really logically follow. Jeez. Frista says, I am the occult. I don't know what that is. Yeah, so Mary Wollstonecraft famously wrote a book. It was in the 18th century. She was a feminist in the 18th century. Oh my God, 1780, oh my God. Huh. She wrote a book called The Vindication of the Rights of Women. And she basically came to the conclusion that women possess the capability of reason. And it made not sense that God would bestow woman with reason and say that they are to be subjugated by men and pretend that they do not have reason, right, to make decisions over their very lives. And so it's an argument in that women have a right to vote. They should be able to engage in society and inquiry, and even regarding godly matters herself, right? She believed that even women could be priests, which was, heretical at the time, because even in the Bible it says that women can't do that. But she was able to come to the conclusion that then if women can't do that, why did God bestow women with reason? So it's actually kind of interesting, right? if I took Rachel Wilson's arguments and say, you're right, we should not have feminism. Why are you talking to me right now, Rachel Wilson? We should really just have Andrew Wilson here to speak on your behalf, because at the end of the day, you really don't have a right to be talking to a man like me. You know, you need to be talking to, I need to be talking to another man. Why would you be preaching to me about your feminism if your argument is to revoke saying that contemporary feminism is harming women? She's a hypocrite. Hypocritical. She'll sit there on a YouTube channel. She'll sit there and talk all she wants about why feminism is not good. But she's the one preaching to women about why feminism is not needed. She's preaching to men why feminism is not needed. Isn't that wild? That's wild. Frista says, a woman writing a book in the 1800s is crazy. I don't think people realize how nuts that is. Yes, absolutely crazy. Also, sold like hotcakes. She made a lot of money. She made a good deal of money. If I'm not mistaken, most of the money went to her husband. But she made money. She sure knew what to do. Bobro says, oh, I'm sorry, Into the Break says, Mary is a Unitarian, and that's the differentiation they make that you don't make. You call that a Christian, and they do not. They look deeper into the teachings. Well, I do look deep into the teachings. And so that really delves into their idea of a theocracy. What particular version of Christianity are you looking for? And do you believe that all Christians will be in your favor? I venture no. I think you're going to have a lot of Christians that are going to push against you in your desire of theocracy against the separation of church and state. And the reality is that what's going to happen is you're going to end up alienating a lot of Christians, and then you will have Christians fighting against other Christians as to what is the de facto Christianity. Really what it comes down to is a Middle East level of governance, right? You have a dominant form of Islam, the Wahhabis, because they control the oil. That's why. That's why they're the dominant form of Islam. But there's so much fighting. There's so much strife. It doesn't make a better society. It erodes society to inculcate religion and government. And so if you argue in that favor, well, if you're saying, well, the unitary Christian is not a real Christian, this is an argument against you, right? Because it's like, why should I trust your version of Christianity as opposed to Unitarianism or deism? Basecott Flashy says, if she says that you're not a man, you should tell her you're glad that she believes in trans people. Fun fact, Final Fantasy IX has all non-binary characters. Yes, sick. Absolutely. Like if she hints that I am not manly enough, honestly, like I thought to myself, I'm going to say, you're right, you are much manlier than I am. You're right, I retract my argument. You're much manlier than me. You got that chiseled chin, while I have a nice V chin. That's so funny. Wandering Robot Studio says deism, D-E-I-ism. That's so funny. Fristas, oh my God, that's so funny. I should say that. The balls on this chick. Man, you got some balls. I'm going to have so much fun in that debate. Oh my God. I hope Rachel just brings in Andrew. Oh my God. I would love that. I would be like, oh my God, she brought Andrew. Speak on her behalf, please. Oh my goodness. It would be so good. It would be, oh my God. I feel like the Rachel Wilson debate, it will be good. It will be a moment that, I mean, it will explode my YouTube channel. I think so. If you haven't subscribed, by the way, consider subscribing. I really appreciate y'all for joining me on this stream. I'm out of my drink. I mean, I could have more. Should I have more? Fuck. God, I'm gonna end up taking a nap after this. Ugh. I don't know if I'm gonna do another old fashioned, but why don't I? Let's just try a little bit of whiskey. We're just gonna have some regular whiskey. I'll still keep my ice ball so I can water down the whiskey, but I'm just gonna have straight whiskey. We're gonna go for let's see what we got. Hold on. We got some Buffalo Trace. Is this mine? Is this mine? Is this mine? I don't know if it's mine. I'm gonna have Buffalo. I'll ask my roommates, hey, did you buy this? I don't remember. Buffalo Trace is like this type of whiskey is like it tastes like honey. It's like a honey kind of a whiskey. I'm not gonna have much, just a little. Yes, drink more Buffalo. So yeah, no, I've been drinking Woodford. Woodford's much better than Buffalo. But yeah, I don't mind a Buffalo. Buffalo's not bad, and I'll just have it as is. It's okay, just the whiskey. Just the whiskey with a little ice. It'll water it down. It'll be all right. Boy, I do appreciate y'all joining me on this stream today. I do, I really do. I appreciate it, I do. Oop. Into the Break says, that's a Nancy port. I had 2 old fashions. How much do you want me to drink in front of you? My goodness. Are you trying to get me to be an alcoholic? I drink during the weekends. I try not to drink during the weekdays. Ooh, strong. Flashy says, one of her favorite arguments is that most women opposed to women's suffrage movement. Wait. Is that most women opposed well, then my response would be, I would be like, yes, you're correct, because the husbands would not like the women. It was seen as unattractive to be in favor of women's suffrage. Most women were just not engaged in it. They were housewives. They just weren't going to engage in that. So yes, that would logically follow. It's almost like most slaves didn't want to be freed. Okay, but that's not an argument, right? That just makes life worse. Like, hey, they want to be, like, what you're arguing is like, they've been subjugated their entire life, and then you're like, okay, you're now free. And most of them don't want that. Yeah, most people don't want to change in their life, and most people don't want to push against the social paradigm. Right? And it's like, the reality is that it just makes life better when people have the choice. You're electing to not have that choice. It's wild. Like, listen. Do you want women to vote? No. If no, okay, fabulous. You don't have to vote. Are you a woman? Do you believe women shouldn't be able to vote? Okay. Don't vote. Be a woman and don't vote. Other women who want to vote, they can vote. That's mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling. Into the Break says, do you agree? Do you argue to have access to other countries' slave labor? No, I believe that worker rights need to be established on a worldly basis. I think there needs to be a international workers' rights that need to be established among all workers and agreed upon a majority of countries, as many countries as possible, right? A standard of living that should be expected among all workers. We have the supply. We have, we can establish a certain level of worker rights. Diplomatic relationships, as well as open trade and benefits of open trade in countries that establish worker rights would be good for everyone, the entire globe. That's what I think. Base God Flashy says, oh, I'm sorry, I already read that. Into the Break says, so punishing China with high tariffs is good. Limiting access to slave labor is good. So, like I said, I just think that there should be like a unitary labor that everybody must follow, all countries, a certain level based off of like their current economic development, and a vested interest in benefiting as many people as possible, right? And then establish trade relations of that. So I don't believe tariffs is how you do that. What tariffs would do is that just reduces trade. It just makes life worse for not just China, but as well as the United States. So if the concern is the worker rights, then we just establish worker rights further and then argue it on an international level. We can use the United Nations for this. We can use NATO for this. There are many ways to establish worker rights on an international scale from the United States perspective. Base Call Flashy says, anyone involved in the WTO, the World Trade Organization, should be required to have a minimum standard of labor requirements. Based. Base God Flashy is being based. You're being super based. Based. Completely agree with you. Totally agree. That would make the world better. Everybody would win, and there would be a lot less coercion. I can't say for sure that it would remove all coercion, but it would remove a great deal of coercion, right? We do not have to take advantage of countries in order to live high quality of living standard. We can lift all boats with rising tides. Dude, check this out. Check out this lizard. Check out this lizard. Bruh. Dude, bro, he's trying to get the ladies. He's like, oh, come on, do the push-ups. No, he's not doing the push-ups. Do the push-ups. Hey, doing the push-ups. He getting the ladies. He's like, hey, yo, check me out. Check me out. I'm big. I'm a big lizard. And what? What's up, dude? Doing the push-ups. Let's go. Oh, dude, he's getting the girls. Go, do the push-ups. Sick, dude. Show us your neck. Oh, look. I think he's trying to get the little ladies right there. There's even another lady right there. How cool is that? Lizards everywhere, man. Lizards. I probably would have quit the stream by now, but it's so nice out. God, this weather is perfect. I'll probably take a nap after this. Oof. Into the Break says, did you just assume the lizard's gender? Yeah. There are phenotypic characteristics that are typical of that of male and female. Sometimes it matches, sometimes it doesn't. This is true across all sorts of different creatures, but specifically that humans themselves are very social creatures. That is not the case for a majority of other organisms. We're able to understand these embryological differences that occur as early at an embryonic stage, differences in the brain chemistry versus the genitals and other secondary sex characteristics, external phenotypes that you observe. Are there characteristics that are hermaphroditic across the animal kingdom? Yes, there are. Heck, you could change the pH balance in water, and frogs will establish hermaphroditic conditions. Obviously, we're not frogs, and putting you in a jar in a pool of lemon juice isn't going to turn you female. But that's not the case for frogs. But the point is that across the animal kingdoms, they exhibit all sorts of hermaphroditic characteristics which change the external phenotypes. So the very same properties that are exhibited among humans can be observed in the animal population, other animals that are not human. Am I assuming their gender? Yes. And I think it's perfectly okay to assume their gender. They're not a social species. Hell, even social species, they can't really talk to us. It's like, yeah, we just kind of have to assume their gender. Into the Break says, lizards are social. Define social. Remember not to jump categories from actual to conception. Yeah, so social, what I mean by social is that they talk. A form of communication, not just out of physical action, but through complex verbal communication. Whales would be an example of a social species. Lizards are not social species. They communicate through bodily motions and scent. Also, do you want to see another lizard? Look at this boy right here. We got a big boy. Look at that big boy right there. Hey, yo. Hey, no. Look at that big boy right there. Oh, yo. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you pointing a phone at me? All I want is the bitches. I just want the bitches. So I'm trying to get the bitches by doing push-ups. That's cool. How cool is that? Into the Break says, so a person that uses sign language isn't a social species. Of course they are. They're using the sign language. Fair enough. I mean, that's a bodily motion. I'll grant you that. All right. I concede that point. I feel like that there is complex bodily motions that is indicated from a neurological basis. There, done. You got me. You beat me. Bobo, yeah, he pointed it out. That's still using a complex language that lizards aren't using. Yeah, there's our ability, our complexity of language, or being able to communicate is far above most species. I think it's probably questionable regarding certain apes, and is also questionable regarding certain crows specifically, not other birds, and certain cetaceans. They establish a very clear social. It's a very clear social species that is very complex, and we don't really know the full complexity of their language. But analyzing their brain structure, our neuronal concentration is far above any other species by a long shot. Into the Break says the push-ups of the lizard are a complex communication to other to lizard ladies. Yeah, but to us, I mean, it's just like we can understand that it's just attracting a mate. They're like, look, I'm big. I'm doing push-ups. But me, right? There I am, and I'm going to a bar. I'm talking to a girl, and I'm just like, hi, can I buy you a drink? It's more complex. There's more to it. My body language is just not there. Base Golf Flashy says, but I never saw Godzilla do a push-up in the movies. Correct, he uses lasers. He attracts mates with a laser. Why are we talking about this? The lizard ladies love the push-ups. They're like, holy crap, he's doing push-ups. That's a sick push-up. Into the Break says, wow, not much more. Listen, like, I understand you don't agree with my like trans argument. The problem is that it is observable from an embryological stage. The development of the brain is a distinct process from the development of the genitals. Most of the time, the male brain matches with the male genitals, the female brain matches with the female genitals. But because of all sorts of different conditions, genetic anomalies, you can have a mismatch. Because again, there are two separate, distinct developmental processes, and it is the absence of testosterone or the presence of testosterone that enables this. Generally, they're the same. That's not the case for all people. There's all sorts of people where the brain chemistry doesn't match with the external genitalia. And this is observed embryologically. It is also observed neurochemically as well as endocrinologically. So understanding that makes you realize, okay, there's more to it than there's just the binary man versus women spectrum. Into the Break says, equivocation, there's no chimera. They do exist. They're there. Look up androgen insensitivity syndrome. And you can also look up congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Those are two distinct genetic processes that specifically can easily change at an embryological stage the brain chemistry to the external genitalia. This is observable. It's there. It's empirical. We're not talking about some sociological perspective. We're talking about this at a very empirical, very observable perspective. Into the Break says, so the brain feels different than the body looks. Well, you just look at it. Look at that. Just look at it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, typically we just look at it. I agree. It doesn't necessarily match with the external phenotypes typical of male or female. That's what I'm saying. So you're actually acknowledging the existence of trans people, by the way, by saying if you look like a female, you're a female. If you look like a man, you're a man. So if they have the phenotypic characteristics by your lights, they would be men or women based on how they look. Base Golf Flashy says, are you streaming games tomorrow? Maybe. Should I? I'm almost done with my drink. All right, y'all. This has been a fabulous stream, I gotta say. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe right now. I really appreciate y'all for watching. Man, 2-hour long stream, cigar stream. I don't think any of my cigar streams have lasted that long. But I appreciate y'all very much. I'm glad that you guys spend the time to even entertain my crazy antics. See where all of this goes, I guess. I've got maybe another 40 subscribers and I will be monetized officially. So even one subscriber is like big if true. So I appreciate y'all. I am probably going to take a nap. Thank y'all very much. Have a good night.